Hey, sorry for the interruption. We are on page 182 of chapter 29. This is part 2. Captain Campbell bent toward me. He spoke quickly and quietly. I do not hold with slavery, but I cannot help you. We do not interfere with loyalist property. Return to your mistress. A loud huzzah from hundreds of throats came from the battery as the American flag was pulled down. A drummer started beating time, and the Union Jack rose to the top of the flagpole, accompanied by whistles and shouts from the lobster back and the loyalist New Yorkers, who took off their hats in respect. A woman in the crowd snatched the American flag out of the hands of the British soldiers and stomped it under her boots. The men laughed. A rat-tat-tat-tatting from the drumsticks rattled through me, setting my teeth to shaking and waking the bees who had lately gone to sleep in my brain pan. He couldn't take me. He would not. I was chained between two nations. The bees swarmed again behind my eyes, making the scene grow dim and distant. The sun was nearing the horizon, casting long shadows across the wharf. I was a ghost tied to the ground, not a living soul. All ashore, sir, called the soldier tying up the last boat. All ashore, corporal. The captain acknowledged. I want patrols assembled immediately to keep watch in the streets and sentry fires built in every corner. Yes, sir. The gentlemen who had arrived in the boat walked toward us, talking with great excitement. One of them was painfully familiar. He called to me before I could flee. Sal? Called Master Lockton, thinner from his exile, eyes bloodshot and weary. Is that you? I dropped to a curtsy and dared not say a word. He studied on me with suspicion. What are you doing here? Sergeant Jennings approached. The tavern is open if the gentleman would care to drink to victory. Lockton waved to his companions. I shall join you shortly. As the gentleman hurried to the tavern, his eyes traveled from my head down to my shoes. What news, Sal? He asked. How do you come to be here? I pulled Madam's list from my pocket and prayed he would not look inside my basket. Come to market, sir, I whispered. Ah, what is this? He took my chin in his fingers, turning it so that the last rays of the sunset fell on my scar. Is the eye for illustrious or perhaps impertinent? All very positive adjectives. My face burned both in the scar and where his lavender-smelled fingers pinched my skin. The bees flew through me and told me to grab Campbell's sword and run it through Lockton's belly. And then what? And then what? I suspect it stands for insolence, Captain Campbell said calmly. 'Tis a common brand among the people of Boston. Lockton laughed at the small joke and released me. Now we'll call her Insolent Sal, a very saucy gal. Cute, but definitely not funny to Isabel. The captain smiled and put his hand on the hilt of his sword. I should have known she was attached to your household, sir. She greeted me in the name of the king and thanked me for rescuing the city from the rebels. They both looked at me. He's saving her from her getting in trouble. We prayed for liberation, I said. Even our slaves have become political, Lockton said. How quaint. Do you wish to accompany your servant home to greet your mistress, the captain said. Lockton shook his head. Not at the moment. Go on home, Sal. Tell Anne I should be along after I've lifted a few glasses in celebration. The two men headed for the tavern as the sun finally dropped out of sight. I must have gone to Mason's and brought the items on Madame's list, though. I remember it not. My body moved through the streets, past sentry fires and redcoats carrying torches down suspicious alleys and into abandoned houses. Around me was the sound of victors celebrating and the smell of meat as they roasted for their supper. Around me, all was darkness. So she found out that even the redcoats won't help her, even the loyalists won't help her, because they will not take property from loyalists. So the only how they'll take slaves is if they are running from the Patriots. So we'll see what happens in chapter 30.